Look, man, I've been there more times than I'd like to admit. Texting a girl for days, maybe even weeks. Banter's going really well. She seems high interest. You set up a date, and then on the day of the date, you try to confirm and you get ghosted or bailed on. We've all been there. But over the years, after dating literally hundreds of women from dating apps like Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge, I've learned a lot more about the dynamics of why women bail on dates, and I found a really good method of how to stop getting bailed on. And in this video, we're gonna break that down so you understand what's going through women's minds and you never get bailed on again. And if you don't know me, my name's Hunter. I started Wingman Plus because it took me 7 years of trial and error to create an abundant dating life for myself. And I want to help guys like you get rid of that learning curve and get an abundant dating life quickly. So if you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to the channel and let's get into it. All right, so why do women bail on dates? Well, first off, they have other plans. Let's be honest, women have way more social options than men. A lot of the time, women will have plans with one group of friends, another group of friends, and 3 guys trying to go on a date with them all in the same day. So a lot of the time when they bail on a date with you, it's because they just have other plans that they'd rather go on, just to be straight up. Often what people with an abundant dating life do, which is, most women and a small percentage of men who have figured it out, they do something called double stacking, where they stack multiple date plans on the same day in case one of them bails. And at the end of the day, they basically bail on the one person and go on the date with the other person. Now, in addition to just dates, they also double stack with other plans as well, right? Women always like to have a backup option or a backup plan in case one set of plans falls through. So remember, when you're setting up a date with a girl, I don't care how well it seems to be going over text, you haven't really won until you're on the date with her in real life, because that means she actually selected you over all of her other plans. Okay, reason number 2 that women bail on dates is they simply just don't feel like going out. This could be for a lot of different reasons, but sometimes people just get exhausted. Maybe she made plans with you to hang out on a Sunday night, but she went out for drinks on Friday and Saturday, and by the time Sunday comes around, she just hung over, kind of beat, and just wants to chill in bed, watch Netflix, and not text anyone. And that's perfectly normal. It's a very, very common reason that women will bail on dates. So keep that in mind as well. When you're texting a girl and figuring out the logistics leading up to a date, ask probing questions to see what her week looks like, to see what plans she has, so you can kind of predict like, hey, yeah, if she's going out to a music festival all weekend, setting up plans on Sunday afternoon is probably not going to happen, right? It takes a little bit of common sense, but asking those probing questions is going to allow you to set yourself up for success. Okay, reason number 3 that women bail on dates is cold feet. They might have anxiety around meeting you and getting attached. Now, this isn't the most common reason that women bail on dates, but it will happen. Meeting someone for the first time, especially in a romantic setting, is pretty nerve-wracking. And I know as guys we get nervous, but women get just as nervous as we do. I find that women who bail out of cold feet often bail when they've been talking to a guy for a long period of time. This usually comes up when you've been pen pals with a girl for a few weeks. Maybe there's like a long distance between you. You finally pull up in her city, you're ready to meet, and she doesn't even text you back. And that's because she loved the comfortable bubble of being the pen pal, of having that long distance thing. But when you actually go to meet up with her after all those weeks, it almost becomes too real. She can kind of panic, get anxiety, be afraid of like getting overly attached. Like, oh, what if I actually like this guy and then I have to be in a long distance relationship? And it's easier to just not go through with the date and bail due to cold feet than to actually meet up with you. Okay, reason number 4 that women bail on dates, and this one is really, really common, is they're simply just not that interested. We've all been in that situation where you can get a girl's number and she doesn't even text you back when you hit her up. It's almost like she gave you her number out of pity or honestly just to make you go away. Well, women will accept dates based on that same reason. If you're trying to make plans with her and she's just really willy-nilly like, yeah, okay, Sunday sounds good, whatever, but you actually haven't done a good job of building interest up until that point, the likelihood that she's gonna go on a date with you is very, very low. I break this down in detail in my program, the Online Dating Cheat Code, but what it really takes to get women to show up to dates are 3 key points, okay? High interest, good logistics, and an anchor. Number 1, she's not gonna show up to a date if she's not interested in you. And the way to maximize her interest really comes up in the small talk phase of texting, right? So you wanna keep it playful, drop some good banter, create kind of inside jokes, and build that rapport with her. Number 2, getting her to show up to a date takes proper logistics, right? So if she works 9 to 5, let's say, and you ask her to go out to lunch 40 minutes away from her work on a weekday, obviously those logistics aren't going to work out. So before you try to set up plans, I highly recommend you ask probing questions to figure out the logistics. What does she do for work? Does she work night shift? Does she work weekends? How far away do you guys live from each other? Does she have a car? Does she live with her family? Like, these are all logistical questions that are going to prevent you from getting bailed on. Okay, and then that third point of getting dates to actually happen is the anchor. You basically need to anchor the date to an activity that she would actually want to do, right? So if she just hates sports, asking her to go to Hooters with you and watch, you know, a major league playoff game, probably not a great date. Whereas if she's a little more artsy fartsy, asking her to go to like a museum or an art gallery is probably a great anchor and the type of date that she'd want to show up on. All right, now reason number 5 that women bail on dates is literally just something came up. And I know this is the easiest excuse in the book to use, like, oh yeah, sorry, I can't meet, you know, something came up. But it does happen from time to time. Maybe she has to work late, maybe, you know, there's a family emergency, whatever it is, stuff can come up and it's a common reason that women will bail on dates. Okay, now the 6th reason that women bail on dates, and this one is actually way more common than it might seem, is that they're having a busy day and they don't have time to get ready. Sometimes you'll plan a date for 7 p.m., but she might get off work at 5:30, get home at 6, and then she has to get ready for your date. And she's like, damn, I actually don't have enough time to get ready for this date. It'd be easier for me to just bail or ghost the guy than actually show up to the date. All right, so those are the 6 major reasons that women bail on dates. But I wanna show you how to prevent this from happening. So to do that, I'm about to break down some psychology that will help you understand the social dynamics at play and how you can use them to get bailed on less. Now you might be thinking to yourself, this is stupid. Why do I need to understand psychology and play these games? Why can't I just be myself and interact like a normal human being? Well, first off, it's better to have these tools and not need them than to need these tools and not have them. Secondly, just being yourself and interacting like a normal human being is probably what got you into this situation to begin with, and probably the reason you clicked on this video. So either way, watch this with an open mind and you might actually learn something. Now, one of the most common forms of getting bailed on is actually getting ghosted the day of the date, right? You're texting her to confirm plans and you get no response, which feels awful. And I've been there. I'm sure you've been there as well, bro. So let's break it down. There's a few things that motivate people, you know, money, status, but people are also highly motivated by their desire to save face. And what I mean by that is they don't want to disappoint others or face embarrassment or shame. And texting someone the day of the date and bailing on them is very difficult to save face because you're literally just disappointing someone. People often feel shame when they bail on someone, and it's almost better to just ghost them than face that confrontation, face that disappointment, and feel that shame. Now, men tend to be more used to handling conflict than women, since men often face more rejection in dating than women. So a lot of the time for women, it's easier to save face by ghosting you rather than face the confrontation of letting you down. When it comes to saving face, we often take the path of least resistance, which is to avoid making plans altogether. But sometimes we make plans and face social anxiety leading up to those plans, to the point where you're almost looking for a reason to bail. Women feel this every day because they have so many dating options that they're almost looking for reasons to bail on dates. And when you figure it out, as a guy, you can also have this level of abundance where you're actually getting so many dates and have so many options that you're like, damn, I wish someone would give me an out, like give me a reason to bail on these dates. If you're dating from a place of scarcity, it can be hard to understand this perspective. But most women deal with this on a daily basis. And a small percentage of men have this much abundance in their dating life that they can relate to this as well. If you are dating from a place of scarcity, it feels like the weight of the world rests on every interaction you have with women. So getting bailed on really sucks when you don't really have any other options. It can make you want to quit dating altogether. So if this sounds like you, it might be worth checking out the online dating cheat code. And I'll put a link to that down in the description of this video. But when you date from a place of abundance, you almost hope women bail on you sometimes because you have too many dates lined up, and it allows you to save face, allows you to avoid the shame of disappointing her and bailing on her, which leads perfectly into my next point, which is how to avoid getting bailed on last minute. Remember, people are highly motivated by the ability to save face. That is the ability to avoid disappointing people, to the point where women would rather ghost you than let you know they're bailing on you. because they just don't want to face the shame of disappointing you. Now, we often tend to like the people that give us the ability to save face. That person that gives us an alibi or excuse to get out of plans that give us anxiety. For example, if there's a dinner party that you really want to avoid but you've committed to, you'll be super thankful if a friend gets last-minute tickets to your favorite sports team and insists you join them, because it gives you a reasonable excuse to bail on the other plans, and nobody will be mad at you because you got an opportunity to see your favorite team for free. That friend that got you tickets and allowed you to bail on the event that you didn't want to go to in the first place allowed you to save face, and you're likely to build an even stronger bond with him because of that. We can use this same psychology to allow the women we date to save face, and in turn, they will often like us more for it. Remember, women have a ton of social options, and her planning a date with you is a good sign of interest. But sometimes stuff happens and she needs to bail. So what I like to do is give her an out. A few hours before the date, I'll push it back 30 to 60 minutes. What I mean by that is if I planned a date for 7 o'clock, I'll text her at like 3 or 4 and say, hey, is it cool if we do 7:30 or 8? And this is so different from the way most guys confirm plans. Most guys will send a text like, hey, are we still on for tonight? But this is a really weak frame because it assumes that she's gonna bail on you. It basically shows no confidence and is gonna make her more likely to bail. So instead, I'll send her a text like this. So let's say I made plans at 7 o'clock. I'd say, hey, Sarah, I have a call at 6 and it might run a little bit late. Is it cool if we do 7:30 or 8? And using this simple line to confirm dates has tripled the amount of dates that pull through instead of bailing. This text is super effective for a few reasons. First off, it has a confident frame. Instead of asking for confirmation, you're assuming the date will happen. You're assuming she's still interested. Secondly, it takes the pressure off of her. It probably sounds silly since as guys, we take like 5 minutes to get ready. But if women have a busy day and feel like they won't have time to get ready properly for your date, they will bail because of it. By pushing back 30 to 60 minutes, you're giving her a longer window of time to get ready. And let's be honest, women almost always show up to dates like 30 minutes late. So by pushing the timeline by 30 to 60 minutes, you're going to align your timelines the day of the date, and she's going to feel a sense of relief because it gives her more time to get ready. This way of confirming dates is very proactive because you're basically getting rid of a major reason for her to bail before she even has the chance. Third reason it's so effective is it allows her to save face. If she needs to bail, she's way less likely to ghost you if you send this text instead of asking, hey, are we still good for 7? And that's because you're the one asking to change the plans and push the time back. This gives her an opening to say, you know, that'd actually be a little bit too late. Can we do another day instead? Don't get frustrated when you get this response. Let's be honest, if an extra 30 minutes was a make or break timeline on your date, she was probably gonna bail in the first place. So by pushing the time back 30 minutes, you give her an opportunity to save face because she can ask to reschedule without disappointing you, since you're kind of the one who got flaky in the first place by changing the plans. When you send this text, one of two things will happen. She'll either say yes and seem relieved for the extra time, or she'll ask to reschedule. If she does ask to reschedule, play it chill, figure out the logistics, and set up another date from there. If you need help with this, I have an entire texting framework for setting up dates in the online dating cheat code and over 15 full match to date texting breakdowns. But either way, I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, make sure you pound that like button, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.